Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to episode 29 of Player Life here in Tokyo. 8th of December. Yes, so I'm just chilling here in Tokyo. Another day in the life. So today, I want to talk about, a little bit, off, the usual topic of day game, but I want to talk about how particularly Western women have their cake and they want to eat it. So I think, humans are a greedy species. So, for anyone who doesn't know what the phrase "to have your cake and eat it," it literally means, once the cake is eaten, it's gone. So it can be used to say that one cannot have two incompatible things, or that one should not try to have more than is reasonable. So we can, I think most guys in this sphere understand that Western women are definitely not reasonable. But I'll say, I don't know, maybe wait for the chat to fill up a little bit. But I guess Western women are definitely unreasonable in this day and age. We can see it with the Karen meme, how just out of control these chicks are. And it's always the post-wall women, or women that have, are just a little bit past it, that really, go crazy. I saw some video on Twitter, and it was some woman in a Jeep, in a car, pull up to a load of protesters, and she was just, typical Karen meme type woman. I was just, screaming out of her car, screaming at she was screaming at, anti-lockdown protesters. And it's just like, it just made me think how this is kind of how unfortunate it is that is not the exception. I think that's almost like the rule. It would be nice to say, oh yeah, that's just crazy. It's that's the exception, but that is actually the rule. Like most Western women are like off the rails, like with entitlement and just a really gross sense of entitlement. But the video, just showed like how, it's just how off the rails these chicks are. And it just doesn't seem to be getting any better, But it's it's not going to change anytime soon. But you just need to learn how to deal with these situations, or deal with the status quo, because like I said, unless you're going to leave, unless you're going to get up, leave, get out of the English, it's basically the English language speaking world, Western countries. These are the countries that really suffer from this crazy sense of grandiose entitlement, you know, that doesn't seem to be in other non-Western countries. It's anywhere you go, you're going to run into solipsism, or that's the that's kind of the female version of narcissism. Like, it's female nature. Like, you can't hate on it too much, because it's in female nature to be solipsistic, to have a sense of narcissism, and it comes from, it's an evolutionary trait. So you can't really, it's like hating, when it rains. I mean, you can hate on it, but you're not gonna it's not gonna do you any good. But you're not gonna change it. But what's happening in Western countries is like that solipsism, that narcissism has gone off the tracks, has gone off the completely off the tracks. It's just it's funny. It's funny to see. We have Play on Woro in the house. Konbanwa. What is up, man? What is up? Yeah, Tokyo in the house. So yeah, you never really see in Japan. You never really see that sense of entitlement with Japanese chicks, or not necessarily entitlement, but they're not so. You just they're basically in check. I mean, you never see Japanese chicks acting out in public. You never see them like screaming, or fighting, or getting angry, or basically the Karen meme that we see from Western countries, that ignorant, loud, typically a white, post wall, or around 30s, anything past 30s. It's usually, not to say you don't see it in women in their 20s too. You see all age groups of women, typically white women. It's kind of a white, basically, yeah, basically they're traders. Like, we created, in Western countries, we created these safe, societies that gave women equal opportunity, like safe societies. And it's just like they just spat it, they're just spitting it back in your face. It's like going up to a homeless in a way, because men liberated women and gave them the vote, gave them, freedom to work, freedom to, all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff. And they're basically spitting it back in our faces, saying that Western society is evil. It's bad. White men are bad. Straight white men are bad. Yeah, it's basically, it'd be like going up to, you see someone in trouble, or you see someone in need, and you go and try and give them a helping hand, and they just spit in your face. That's the way I see how Western women treat Western men. They just like kind of have spat in the face of their brothers, their fathers, their all the men around them. It's like extreme daddy issues. The Western women suffer from an extreme version of daddy issues. They have serious problems. Western women are not okay. They are not okay. They need help. They're they have gone off the rails for sure. I saw there's an author, even though I haven't read any of his books. His name's Douglas Murray. He's actually very, very good. He talks about the decline of Western society a lot. He's a British author. I was meaning to read some of his books, but I just haven't gotten around to it. But he said I saw an interesting quote he had written. He does a lot of YouTube interviews and whatnot, but the quote goes as women's rights had been steadily accumulating throughout the 20th century. They appeared to be arriving at some sort of settlement. Then, just as the train appeared to be reaching its desired destination, it went crashing off the tracks. You know, that's pretty you know, that's the way it is. And not only with women, but with all that kind of stuff, you know, with you know, racism, you know, sexism, whatever, all gay rights, trans rights. You know, Western societies were very tolerant. Let's just like tolerant and kind of accepting of these things. Women had free right, you know, like pretty much equality as much as in terms of the law. You know, in a lot of ways, you know, they had you know, more rights than men. But now it's like, you know, it reached a point of equality, and then they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and now it's just like they're gone so far down the tracks that it's just like hysterical. There's a hysteria amongst Western women. Um, they're hysterically angry, and it's in a way it's like conceding to a spoiled brat child. You know, if you give a spoiled child like too much candy, if you concede to the temper tantrums, the behavior will get worse and worse, and they'll continue to behave and act out. And they, you know, this is, you could say this about Western women. They're acting out because people have, you know, society has let them away with it. They've been allowed to misbehave, and they've been allowed to get away with their demands. You know, just constantly, you know, constant criticism, trying to, you know, kind of, I call it the kind of a mammy state, trying like women begging to bring in new rules and regulations. It's like it's just like it's like just a really, it reminds me of a really annoying, a really annoying teacher who just has all the, like a female teacher that has these excessive rules that kind of ruins the fun, ruins the, you know, the, you know, if you're going to play a game, but you know, a game of dodgeball or something, but you're not allowed to actually, you're not allowed to actually hit the other person with the ball, or some annoying rules. That's like Western society. It's just we're bringing in all this red tape and rules, and it's all because it's basically, let's be honest, it's all because it's of the female vote. This is what females want, and it's kind of enabled by beta males, and it's been enabled so much that, you know, it's gotten to a point where it's out of control. Like it's an out of control, it's at the point where things are getting like out of control. Like the rationale has really gone like out the window. um yo Matt W in the house, what is up? What is up? Good to see you, bro. um so yeah, we have these females like basically voting for like really annoying, irrational laws, annoying systems, just irritating things, you know. um you know, it's no surprise that, you know, these women, like if you look at Antifa, like it's the most it's the most like, it's all these suburban, annoying, weak, like pathetic, mostly beta male and like white women. And yeah, there's obviously other races and mixes in there too, but it's like it's the most humiliating thing for, for these, the way they speak down to minorities, like, oh, they're talking about their white privilege and all this bullshit. And if you look at it, all this hysteria, all this nonsense basically comes from women. Like, women all support these kind of irrational, emotional, nonsense propaganda. Like, I've always said it before. Like, women are they're the most prone they're the most susceptible to the hysterical and, cheaply made crappy propaganda, where guys like us, guys in this kind of group, understand. We can see through this ridiculous propaganda, like, stuff that just, it's really irritating. And this beer bug has really brought it to a head, where, these women are becoming intolerably insufferable with their demands and their rules and regulations, and they're screaming and they're demanding new laws. And it's becoming very, very intolerable. I'm so glad that I'm not in amongst that kind of hysteria, because I don't know what I would do about, women like begging the government to bring in authoritarian laws, trying to take my freedom away, trying to, it's just wave after wave of hysteria and nonsense. Like, for, like, we had that before all this nonsense, like in years previous, we had the big Me Too wave, where originally it started about trying to, make sure that, men don't, whatever, sexually assault women or whatever. But it soon turned into just like a witch hunt, where it's just trying to, stop men from having any kind of authority or any kind of ability to, approach women, or get dates, or, make sexual advances on chicks. It turned into like trying to criminalize men, male nature. And, this was so obvious. And it's when you link all these things up, it's like, it's obvious what's going on. It's like the new world order is clearly has an agenda. They're clearly trying to, they clearly have a depopulation agenda, where they're trying to, break up nation states by making the male and female sex hate each other. And they're being quite successful at it, because, they're getting away with it. They're making each other intolerable. People just, for me personally, I would just, the thought of like being in a relationship, or marrying a Western woman, is like, it's ridiculous to me. I can't even imagine having to do such a thing. It would be like shooting yourself in the head. It's just it would be such a nightmare. It would be, imagine living with one of these SJWs. Imagine having to like put up with like this nonsense. It's like, it'd be so humiliating in your own house, putting up with in your own home, putting up with this new this like bullshit ideology. It would be really something else. Yeah. So we got Christian Matico. LOL. Feminism being rational is a good joke. It is. It is a good joke indeed. Yeah. What do you call it? An oxymoron. Winston Wolf in the house. Yo yo yo. Yes. Know your worth. Good day. Good day. Good day. Christian says they want to start a revolution, but they can't swing a hammer. Let's shame the enemy to death. What a joke. Yeah, it's just constant shaming tactics. I mean, women back whenever, I'm not sure, but you know, I think I don't know. I don't know even know if I'm not sure which war it was, but it's not. It's a common occurrence in times of war. Women will shame men if they don't go and fight. Um, I can't remember which war it was or whatever, but there was some. There was some. It might have been the Second World War. I don't know, but there was a thing where women would like assault men. I'm not. I think it was the Second World War, but if men didn't go to fight, whatever war it was, the First World War, Second World War, I don't know. It happened. It happens. But women, there was a thing. I remember learning about it in history class in school. But women would target men that didn't go to fight in the war, and they would tar and feather them basically, like they'd put tar on them and throw feathers on them, for not going off to die for them. And it's like, shaming is never is something that it's kind of, women use it as a tactic because they can't use physical force. But the funny thing, it's not even funny, but it's like the thing about modern females is Western females. Let's be clear about that, because it's Western females. It's the sickness that's in Western societies. Western females at one time feel like they have the female privilege to be able to hit a man, assault a man, like punch, slap, kick, and but they still think they have the privilege, the female, or the whatever, yeah, the privilege to not be assaulted back because they're female. But at the same time, they want, the equality. They scream and shout about how they're shouting about pronouns. They're talking about, screaming about, how they're, the just the hypocrisy is so intense at times. It's like it's painful for rational men to listen to it. It's it's just the cognitive dissonance when listening to these women is so like it's so intense. And it's funny because I don't fully, the only time I get like up close and with this kind of sickness is from some like dating apps in in Japan, like Bumble and stuff. And whenever I match with a white woman, it's so like it's like a parody. It's like oh my god, like this is like every one of them are they're all the same. They all have the same things in their profile, like LGBT, like liberal, like I don't leave my house these days because of the beer bug. It's so like, oh my god, like would you just like be a little bit different? Like, could you just not tick all the stereotypes? Can you just not tick all of them? Um, if you're no to racism, it's like God, like it's just like get the fuck out of here. I matched with with some chick. I unmatched her because the thing about Bumble is you can't get into arguments with these chicks on Bumble because they'll just report you. And Bumble is ran by a feminist, and they're just, even if you didn't say anything bad or anything, you'll just get your account deleted. It's a Bumble's a good app, but it's badly ran. It's ran by a feminist. It's no good. But I matched with a chick, a white chick, last night, and I just said to her for the fun, like, because she looked she looked kind of like a feminist. So I just said, our first question I asked, she said, "Hey," first question I asked her was, "Are you feminist?" And she replied like what the f, and then I just said like, send me a full body because she only had a photo of her face. So I said, can you send me a full body photo? I want to see you. And she was like, what the hell? Oh my God. Like, it's just like, so I just unmatched her immediately because, they're so entitled. I had another one, a Russian chick, and this one, no, she wasn't Russian. No, where was she? No, she was German. Really tall, beautiful, blonde German, but she was 35. She was like post wall. I mean, this chick would have been like so hot, like when she was 21. Like she was she would look like a supermodel, but she was 35. So I presume in her profile she said she had been in Japan for years. So these chicks, these Western chicks, these really annoying Western chicks. The only type of Western chicks, there's the really progressive kind of gamer, dorky, nerdy chicks that come to Japan, and they don't last. They last 1 or 2 years because Japanese society just doesn't this whole their whole progressive ideology doesn't link up with them. It doesn't they don't last basically. But then the other type of chick that comes to Japan, Western type chick, is are models, like young, early 20s, models, and they can be hot. But sometimes these models, they're not even hot. They're just kind of like like skinny, too skinny and tall. It's not really my type anyway, but but these chicks are really, really annoying because they kind of have that superiority complex about them because they're a model in Japan, like a fashion model. There's a big difference between a glamour, like just a hot chick and a model. I don't know if guys know that, but like, do you ever see these fashion models? They're really not like, it wouldn't call them sexy. They don't look that, they're really skinny. They're kind of lanky. You get a lot of these kind of chicks in Japan. And anyway, this chick was like, she asked me something about, I can't even remember how it went, but like, I invited her. Oh, this is how it went. Yeah, I invited her to MLD's party because I just invited her. I don't really care, and she said, "Oh, well, it's a bit dangerous at this time to go to a party," and it's like, get the hell out of here! Like, everywhere's open in Tokyo. Like, everywhere is open in Tokyo. There's bars, right? Nothing's like closed up. If you're still talking about that in Tokyo, it's like December, like everywhere's open. Like, it's just like, get the hell out of here. It's so annoying. I was like, so I just sent her some link, like the what's it called? Remember that, if I'm sure most of you guys have seen it, Event 201. It was like, it was released in it was put onto YouTube on November 4th, 2019. And it's like, I mean, this thing is like, just yourselves, it's like, it's completely, it's completely planned out. But anyway, she's just like, oh my god, are you like a pandemic denier or something like that? And I just unmatched her. I don't have time for that shit. I just can't. I can't deal with that. And thank God, Japanese chicks are not like that. For the most part, there are some, but for the most part, you don't even really need to talk much about you don't need to talk much about it. Sometimes it won't come up at all. Let's see. Winston Wolf says, I think it's just spoiled children let go too far. Indeed, it is. It is spoiled children let go too far, but way too far, like way too far. it's the enabling that's the big problem too. Like the enablers, the people who allow, encourage it, like how the people enabled like the BLM protests and the riots, and then they enabled all the Antifa to riot, and just with even financially. These people are really. The funny thing is, if it kicks off, like these people can't fight. They can't fight. They better hope it doesn't kick off, because if it does, it's going to be serious carnage. It's going to be this is going to be serious carnage on their side. I mean, anytime you ever see like a clash, like a really aggressive clash between Antifa and some solid dudes, Antifa get like really crushed. Like you see guys getting knocked out. Like honestly, you see some chicks getting knocked out too, because some of these chicks, like, they watch too many Marvel, like too many fucking comic movies or something. All these progressive where they see like superhero women like kicking ass or some shit, and they turn up to these these protests, and they think they're gonna kick someone's ass. They think they're gonna punch a Nazi or so, whatever, a Nazi, someone who uses their brain, and they start throwing punches at guys that are way bigger than them, and they end up getting KO'd. And then they start crying, "Oh, how dare you like hit a woman?" And they're like, they're like swinging bottles or like swinging bats, and they end up getting knocked the fuck out. It's like, that's only like tip of the iceberg. If they started like something really aggressive, if they started some kind of war or something, god damn, like they just don't know how bad. No one wants any part of that. No one really wants to see a war happening, but yeah, if it does, I don't know. Christian says, for sure these kids will argue for what is right, yet they can't even get an A in English class. I'm sorry, but these feminists will get a 3.2 GPA in liberal arts degree. Dumb. Yeah, I mean, yeah, these are the type of idiots that will go to study English in university or some useless course, and they'll fail it. They'll fail some basic ass course, English literature or something, and they just fail it because they suck. Yeah. Matt says, so true. Women run the apps big time with the Bumble one. Yeah, so these women, today I was going to just talk about the thing is, women, they have their cake and they want to eat it. And for those of you who don't know what that means, is once the cake is eaten, it's gone. It can be used to say that one cannot have two incompatible things, or that one should not try to have more than is reasonable. So the thing is, Western women are trying to have way more than is reasonable. They're like really greedy, really greedy. They can't really, accept reality or nature. And, this is, it's basically because they've been enabled mostly by beta males, obviously other women. The thing is, women, they want to have a good time. They want to have a good time until they hit the wall. The thing is, they don't even want to have a good time until epiphany phase. They want to have a good time until they're in their decline. So they want to max out, their 20s, until they're well past their wall, in decline, and then they want a top-notch guy to marry them and hook up, and make children or whatever, and pay for it, and so they can become housewives and everything. So that's an example of them having their cake and wanting to eat it. So they want the both things. You can't have the both thing. You can't have both things. Like sometimes you just can't have both things. Sure, sometimes it happens, but for most people it doesn't happen. Um, it's greedy. It's I understand why it happens, but it's just seriously unreasonable. Um, you know, and for a guy like me, I really don't give a crap, like, because I'm not a trad con. I'm not like, a traditional guy. I don't really care. I don't see I don't see any merit in marriage or anything anymore. Uh, it's kind of redundant. I just don't see the point in it. It's possible if you're red pill and you have like and you have money and you have status and but why would you? It's so risky, such a risky. And I'm not talking about financially. I'm not talking about, oh, she's going to take all my stuff. Like, I'm not even just talking about that part, although that is a big part. If you have a lot of money, that's an issue. But I'm talking about like for your sanity, like to risk like marrying like one of these, like, even if they don't appear to be like like a feminist at the start, like they appear, you know, trust, like the chances are like the propaganda, the kind of, it will have set through to them, and they will believe it somewhat, and they might have concealed it, to try and lock you down. But ending up in a household with someone that even believes 10% of that kind of progressiveness is like a nightmare. Really, it would be a nightmare situation. um you know uh yes. So the thing is, they want to live out their 20s, freedom, like, sleeping around, travel, not that they can travel anymore because they're all supporting like lockdowns and begging like governments to, like, lock us all up, and whatever, bring in all these new rules and regulations. And you can be sure, you can be 100% sure that the majority of women would support a compulsory vaccine. You can be sure of that. Like that, women are the ones that would support something like that. That would demand that we're all not allowed to do international travel unless there's a mandatory vaccine. You can be sure that it's more women support that than men. Um, these women are the enabler. These women are like the foot soldiers. Western women are the foot soldiers for the elites. Really are the foot soldiers, the ones who scream and shout and demand. And it's really like it's never been as clear as 2020 has really just like blown that like right into like clear view how much of a spanner these women have thrown in the works just by their entitlement, by their just by their cowardice, really, like by their compliance, by their cowardice. It's really infuriating. It's really to see like the way they just these emotional like news stories that we can clearly see through them, but women fall for them hook, line, and sink every time. um you know uh it's just crazy, it's frustrating. But Christian says, LOL, I was an English major and I didn't get sucked into the indoctrination system. Love my job and we're just going up. Good, good, good. Jason B says they want to be men. Well, if I was, if you look at it this way, would you ever choose to be a woman? You wouldn't choose. It's kind of like penis envy, you know. being a man is a better deal. Like if if I'm it's like if let's acknowledge that like it is a better deal. So in a way, it's understandable. I can see the logic in why I can see the logic in their irrationality. Not that it's logical, but I can understand why they are irrational. It kind of comes from it just comes from like just a sense of jealousy, kind of being trapped in their female body or their female desires to have, to want everything for themselves, like solipsism. you know it's basically, in a way you can't blame them for it because it's evolution. They needed to be solipsistic to survive in the wild, to look after their offspring. But in the 21st century, in this day and age, it's kind of inexcusable because it's they're not at risk of dying. It's not we're not living in jungles anymore. But you know it's just, it also comes down to females having a deep misunderstanding of male nature too, and that is just something that they women these days just do not understand men. They think, oh, we're just these simple creatures, but um they don't understand. I keep saying it, I've said it many times, but women do not understand the difference between dateability and fuckability. There's like, they're worlds apart for men. And the standards, women's standards for men remain very high. So it's ironic how men really don't care if a woman is a lawyer or a waitress. In fact, I think a lot of guys would if a guy is wealthy and has his shit together, he'd probably prefer a hot waitress than kind of a dried up lawyer. Because especially, like, let's be like, if a woman, even if she was hot when she became a lawyer, that job is so kind of stressful that it will dry up a woman very quickly and make her age a lot faster. um so yeah, it's just the thing is, a woman would never, a lawyer woman would never date a waiter guy, or even a mechanic, or whatever, or a bricklayer, or any kind of job like that. But on the other hand, a man would easily, like, it would be no issue for a lawyer, like a high up, well off lawyer, to date and marry a waitress. I mean, men don't care about a woman's occupation. They don't care about how many years she has done in college. They really don't give a shit. They care about what's her personality. First of all, they care about how hot she is. Then they care about what's her personality like. They're basically the two things they care about. But for men, for men, we have to tick so many boxes for women in order to qualify for them. Even, and it's a funny thing, and it's funny, as women get older, as they decrease in value for us men, as they decrease and they get less valuable because they're getting older and they're getting less attractive, and they become more jaded as they get older because they're getting pumped and dumped and all this crap. They decrease in looks, and they get worse they get more jaded and bitter and salty. They just become kind of worse in every way. Yet their standards, they keep adding boxes to their list of requirements for men, and it's hilarious to see. It's like it's just like, you poor innocent fool. You you're so innocent to think that you can be this demanding. And what are they left with? These chicks are just left with, really kind of pathetic, the only kind of guys that, will subscribe to that kind of, list of demands or submit to it are really like beta kind of blue pill guys. And, they always end up really, really badly. It'll end up in divorce because she'll just become, bitter and resentful that she's with a beta male guy. And then, she's already insufferable, even though the guy's probably blue pill and an enabler, and he probably deserves that, what he gets. But even a blue pill guy will probably just like lose his mind and just like, end up getting divorced. Because most guys are blue pill. That's the crazy, like the vast majority of guys are blue pill. Most guys are have enabled this behavior and like accepted and pro-feminist. I'm a feminist, yo, cool. Like, and a lot of them kind of mean it. Like, it's not just trying to get in women's like they're just a lot of men are brainwashed too. So they come around and they think, this is the right thing to do. You support feminism, and then they marry like a post-wall woman because it's women, we're all equal, we're all the same, men and women are the same. Yeah, even some like solid guys, even guys that are actually have put in that they just maybe don't realize their worth, their own self-worth. They end up marrying a chick that is like way like past it, and they could actually get a much younger, hotter woman, but they're not red pill. They think they have to hook up with someone their own age or whatever. And it's funny because these guys would have, it's the guys that finally come up, they're around, they'll be coming up into their 30s, like when they start getting some money together, and and if they've looked after themselves even better, so they're still like, they haven't even reached their peak, maybe they're around mid-30s, and they're like but back when they were like 21, 22, other girls their own age didn't look twice at them. They didn't hook up with them. They're, once in a blue moon, they might have hooked up, but, for the majority of the time, they didn't. So, they come up, they get themselves together, then they have way more power, way more choice, basically, because they have women are attracted to older guys, older, more successful guys. And if you stay in shape, then the world's your oyster. But some guys realize this, some guys don't. Some guys it's already too late because they've already, they might have bit the bullet. They might have bit the bullet when they were like 28, 29, before or even younger, before they had reached their full potential, and they hooked up with a chick the same age, and she's hit the wall. She has, and then they go into work and they see, the hot, whatever. They start getting female attention, and they start to notice it, and then they start getting, that buyer's remorse, and it's this is what happens, dudes, and this is why some guys can just like lose their minds, because they've ended up, they're in this house they're living with an insufferable, annoying, like SJW Karen woman, when they could be with some like hot 22-year-old, like that doesn't have any hang-ups, isn't jaded, he's just kind of more positive, has a more positive outlook about life. Even though, in Western countries, the problem is, even these young chicks, even the young ones are probably even At least they're still hot though, but in terms of personality, they're still probably extremely entitled. The propaganda, the feminism, has probably gotten to them all. I have a friend in Canada now, and he says it's 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 like a parody. It's like these apparently, from what I hear, you know, from what I see online too. So it's not that much of a surprise, but he's there right now, an Irish dude, and he says they're all insanely brainwashed. Just every chick on Bumble is like some progressive spiel about outright criticizing straight white men, no straight white men, and all the crazy stuff really can't meet right now because of the pandemic and like have to stay home, stay safe kind of thing. Still, like in December, wild stuff. I don't know what is the world coming to. It's mental. It is mental. Let's see. Yeah. Matt W says, my dad's wife is brilliant for a woman, an actual scientist, yet still irrationally fearful of bugs, colds, driving in bad weather, and losing her mind over the beer bug. She's a woman, period. I mean, you can't, it's hilarious just how, it would be a lot funnier. It would be funny. You could laugh at it if they didn't have so much control. Like the unfortunate thing is they have so much power because they're actually getting their way. It's like we're giving the toddler, like we're letting them trash the room. You're letting them away with it. You're letting them do bold things. They're being bold. You're letting them draw on the wall with markers. You're like, we're saying, we can't not let the kid it's pathetic. It's pathetic. It would all, I don't know. It doesn't need to be this way, but but the one thing that gives me it's kind of satisfying to me is that, I believe in karma. I believe, you can't, truth will always win out. Like if you defy nature, if you keep defying nature, you will see karma come around. Like these when someone misbehaves, if you do something bad, I do think that, I've seen karma's happened to me so many times. When I've done something bad, it comes around to me. It will come around to me. If you do something bad to someone, it's not really airy. I think it's just law of the universe. It's kind of like a law of the universe. It's kind of a balancing act. I don't know. I've seen it happen too many times to not believe it. But I think it's just and we can see it already. That these women, they're extremely unhappy with their lives once they're in post-wall phase. Because they're never gonna lock down dudes, permanently. They might lock down dudes for a few years. It'll fall apart. In order to cement a solid relationship with a man, you really kind of need to have a family. You need to have those kids because, it's like sex is the glue that holds a relationship together. But kids and family is the glue that holds a relationship, a long-term, lifelong relationship together. And, I'm not a trad con, so, honestly, as annoying as all this stuff is, I don't really care. The only thing I care about is these, it's these, let's be honest, in my opinion, it's these women that are the ones that are creating all these kind of it's the women that are creating the environment for all this authoritarianism, because these women are the ones that support all these kind of lockdowns, draconian, kind of rules and regulations and red tape and, stay home and, and then all this cognitive dissonance, hypocrisy. You're allowed to go to BLM protests. You're allowed to go to LGBT protests, but if you go to a anti-lockdown protest, you're a white, white far right white supremacist. You're a Nazi. Like it's you can't stomach that kind of hypocrisy. You can't. Like it'll just it'll end badly. That's the thing I care. I don't care about them. Like if they don't want to, if they're gonna give up, having like families, I don't give a crap. Like they can do that all they want. Like they'll die out, good. Like they won't breed, good. Maybe that a sickness, this kind of like progressivism, this like defying of the laws of nature will die out because they're not breeding. Good, let it happen. Yes, Winston says, I think the powers that let women be this way so they could perpetuate their agenda. Yeah, well, there's clearly a lot of there's clearly a big agenda going on. Nice try, Governor says, that's why my girlfriend is from Hong Kong. Being with a Western people long term is just a disaster. They are too far gone. I 100% agree with that. 100%. They are definitely too far gone. They are so hysterically gone. It's so funny to see. I'm just, it's I don't know if you guys have seen this, but let me see. Yeah, so I'm sorry to have to share that cancer with you, but this is like like I said, I was saying at the start of the stream, like I wish this was kind of like in the vast minority, but it's not. Like this is like maybe not all women are as like hysterically like vocal as that, but they still hold the same beliefs. They still hold they'd still like be like like they'd still criticize the anti lockdown protesters and stuff like that. So it's just it's just this is the kind of craziness that we have to put up with. And well, we don't have to put up with it. We shouldn't put up with it. Remember how John was always showing that strong, independent woman take a dump in the street? Oh my God. Yes. I don't know. Winston says, have you been to the USA, Mac? I went to New York like 10, like when was it? It was like it's like 14 years ago maybe, just for like 5 days or something. So I think I was like 18 at the time. That was a long time ago. The world was a different place back then. Different times. A lot has changed. But yeah, today was a bit of a rant. Felt good though. Felt good to talk about it. Sometimes I talk about game, but sometimes I'm gonna talk about the current state of Western society. But yeah, as usual, it's been good. Like, comment, subscribe, check out the links in the description, and I will see you guys or talk to you guys tomorrow night. So wherever you're at, have a good one. I will catch you later. Peace out.